The Rams have been looking at replacing Tyler Higbee this offseason. We are talking about them potentially drafting the best tight end in this year's draft class. We'll talk about all that and how the Rams and Snead and everybody involved can get to that point in this year's draft, all on today's episode of the Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Giron. Remember, if you guys are not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, press that subscribe button now, as 74.8% of you guys are watching the videos, but you're still not subscribed to the channel. Do me the favor, press that subscribe button so you don't miss any daily Rams content here at the Rams Digest. First things first, I do want to get into this first story here. As you guys hear, electric vehicle backing up outside. If you guys hear that, I'm sorry. Trade up scenario. What are we talking about here? If the Rams truly want this guy in the draft, they're going to have to trade up for him. Is it worth the price? We'll talk about it, but the Rams clearly are interested in this guy. And so the Los Angeles Rams are one of 6 teams hosting private workouts for Tyler Warren. If you guys don't know, he is the best tight end in this draft class. So that's kind of where we sit. The Rams clearly are looking for a tight end. They want one. We talk about them looking at a tight end in day 3. We talk about them possibly taking Colston Loveland. And now they are sitting here as one of 6 teams hosting a private workout for Tyler Warren. Again, the best tight end in this year's draft, for most people at least. Of course, I'm sure there's differing opinions out there. But ultimately, some people are comparing this guy to Brock Bowers from last year's draft class. If you guys don't remember, he plays for Las Vegas Raiders. Very, very incredible tight end, even though that team is not very good. He's shown incredible production at the tight end position. And so if Tyler Warren can come into any organization and do what Brock Bowers did last year as a rookie, well, then he's going to be a highly touted player, as he already is, of course. But for the Rams in particular, to get the best tight end in the class, it's kind of interesting for them to expect to get that at the 26th pick in the draft. So they probably wouldn't, right? And so in that case, if they really truly want this guy, they're probably going to have to trade up for this guy. So Tyler Warren's rumored private workout with the Rams set stage for blockbuster trade. The stars are aligning for the Rams to make another blockbuster trade offer to move up to select PSU's tight end Tyler Warren. Is he worth it? The Rams may very likely think so. This comes to us from Brett Studer. And so ultimately, I think a very intriguing point to make, something I do want to kind of note here. If the Rams are hosting this private workout, clearly they are interested in him to an extent. Clearly they want to see more of him. But again, the reality is the only real true possibility the Rams could get him is if they trade up from the 26th pick in the draft. Again, we talked about this the other day. If Shedeur Sanders can fall from a top 5 pick to potentially being out of the first round or at the end of the first round, then of course a guy like Tyler Warren at a tight end position that is not very valued in the NFL anymore, or as valued as it used to be, then of course, yes, I think Tyler Warren can also fall in the draft. So yes, technically speaking, the Rams can sit back, cross their fingers, and hope Tyler Warren falls in their lap. But if they fall in love with him, if they truly want to go out and get him, they're going to have to pay a hefty price to go get him and to ensure and lock in that they will draft him. Now, I do want to emphasize this on this kind of trade idea here. I do not think the Rams need to go up this high. So here is this kind of a proposed kind of trade idea. We'll give a breakdown of what they're saying here. So it says, so to be positioned to select Tyler Warren in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Rams would need to trade up to the 6th pick of the draft overall with Las Vegas Raiders. I do not truly believe that is the case. If the Rams want to guarantee they get Tyler Warren, then sure, yeah, trade up to the 6th pick in the draft. If you just are interested in the guy and you want to draft him, I don't think you have to go this high in the draft. So I wanted to note this idea. If the Rams want to trade up this high and maybe you take Shedeur Sanders, who falls to the 6th pick in the draft, I can see them doing this. It's a very hefty price, right? You're talking about 2 first-round picks and your 2 third-round picks this year. I don't think the Rams would do that. I don't think Snead is interested in doing that for a tight end. Even if you think this guy is going to be the next Travis Kelce, Rob Gronkowski, George Kittle, whatever name, insert any other tight end you think is a great tight end in the NFL. Even if you think this guy's going to go to the Hall of Fame, I don't think this is worth all your draft assets. Next year's first, this year's 26, 2/3. It's a hefty, hefty price. So I don't think the Rams would do this to get Tyler Warren. But what I do think is if the Rams do truly want him, you would probably look at the 13th, 14th pick in the draft. The Indianapolis Colts have been heavily mocked to get Tyler Warren. And so where there's smoke, there's fire. I talk about that with Colston Loveland and the Rams, right? Clearly the Rams want a tight end. And so clearly the Colts being mocked to get Tyler Warren over and over and over again, there's some kind of truth to that rumor there. Maybe the Colts are very intrigued in getting Tyler Warren. And so that range is where you kind of want to watch out for if you're the Rams. I think what Snead would probably likely do Watch the draft happen. Watch it fall. Of course, have your kind of conversations in place with these other GMs. See where their minds are at. See if they're interested in maybe making some moves. And once you build those relationships, once it passes that 14th, 15th pick in the draft, the Rams can start raising their eyebrows, kind of picking up the phone and saying, hey, we are going to trade up for this guy, Tyler Warren. And so I think that's kind of where you would expect the Rams to possibly trade up to, not from 26 to 6, but maybe more like 26 to 16, 26 to 20, right? Just because if they see Tyler Warren falling and they really like him, I think that's where the Rams would probably sneak up and try to get Tyler Warren. So that's where I see it. Let me know if you guys think the Rams should even take a tight end in the first round, let alone trading up for one. You guys let me know how you guys feel about that in the comments down below. Moving on from that, we were talking about quarterbacks in this year's draft class, right? There are essentially, in my opinion, 3 real true options for the Rams. Like, if I had to put money down, which I don't, I'm not a gambling man, but if I really did have to put some money down, I would venture to bet that one of these 3 guys we're about to discuss is going to be on the Rams roster at some point next season. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's how I feel about this. You guys can disagree, but I just kind of, I'm really truly feeling one of these 3 guys is going to fall to the Rams, and he will be on the Rams roster. So here is this story coming from Tyler Greenewalt. He says, one quarterback the Rams could target on each day of the 2025 NFL Draft. And I really do truly, again, believe that these are the top 3 guys that could likely find themselves battling it out, trying to be that next starter for the Rams after Matthew Stafford's gone. Jackson Dart on day 1, we talk about this out of Ole Miss, right? He is the 3rd best quarterback in the draft class, even though he is polarizing. Some people say he's good, some people say he's bad, some people say it's not worth it, some people say he's not a first-round pick. Ultimately, if the Rams want Jackson Dart, they're going to have to draft him with the 26th pick of this year's draft. They cannot wait any longer. There's no second-round pick for the Rams, at least at this point in time, there is none. So the Rams would have to take him there in the first round. And so if they want him, I say they go get him in the first round. That's an interesting name, but I don't see Shedeur Sanders falling to 26 like we talked about yesterday. I don't think it's a realistic thing that you can expect to happen, and so therefore it's either Dart or bust for the first round in terms of quarterback for the Rams, in my opinion. Moving into day 2, I think the Rams would actually be kind of happy with Quinn Ewers falling to them in the 3rd round, especially if we're talking about the 90th or 101st pick in the draft, the Rams' next 2 picks after the 26th pick. That's where I think the Rams is kind of the sweet spot for Quinn Ewers. If the Rams can see Quinn Ewers on the board, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know why I have this feeling, but I truly believe that Quinn Ewers will be at some point a Los Angeles Ram next year. I think that he's the perfect kind of candidate for a guy who's kind of had some hype, had some huge flashes at some points in his college career, but ultimately obviously some rocky moments as well. And so if the Rams see him fall in their laps, they can kind of help stabilize his career. I think they can kind of make him, groom him into becoming their next starting quarterback, or at least that's where they would want to do, right, with Quinn Ewers. I think I can really, for some reason, really feel like Quinn Ewers will be a Ram, and it'll happen around the 3rd round range on day 2. Moving on to the last day of the draft, day 3, Kyle McCord out of Syracuse. Fine. The Rams can kind of hope that this guy becomes something. I think he's had some talent. Some people like him, some people don't. But ultimately, if you get a quarterback on day 3, you're not expecting that guy to be a future starter. You are hoping he can become a starter. I mean, remember Stetson Bennett? We thought and hoped that he could be something after Matthew Stafford, and so far has not been so good for Stetson Bennett. And so that's where I'm at. I think Quinn Ewers is the guy. I think that's really a guy you can realistically feel being on the roster for the Rams. Either way, one of these 3 guys I think will be called up by the Los Angeles Rams on draft night. You guys let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you guys have a name that you guys are interested in that maybe people aren't talking about? The Will Howards of the world. Are you guys interested in Jalen Milroe? You guys let me know what your guesses are down below in the comment section, and we can talk about them on the next episode if you like. I mean, tomorrow's Mock Draft Monday. Maybe we could sit and discuss some mock draft ideas tomorrow. Moving on from that, last but not least, my favorite part of the episode. I give a trivia of the day on every episode that I'm on here at the Rams Digest. You guys get the question. You guys have multiple choice options as well, and you give your guesses down below in the comments. If you're right, if you're wrong, either way, if you just play along, I'll give you a shout out on the next episode. For those who missed last trivia of the day, don't worry about it. We'll discuss it here. We also can play along today on today's episode of today's version of trivia of the day. After helping develop Heisman Trophy winners Carson Palmer and Matt Leinart at USC, Norm Chow joined what NFL team as offensive coordinator? This is kind of a very Southern California question, so for those of you who are USC fans, especially back in the early 2000s, you guys probably already know the answer to this question, but the multiple choice options for this question we had yesterday was did Norm Chow coach for the Detroit Lions, the New England Patriots, the Seattle Seahawks, or the Tennessee Titans? What was your guesses here? We can give you a shout out for those who guessed On last episode, Floyd Zane says Titans, Brian B says Tennessee, and Elstradamus says Titans. So 3 guesses, all 3 the same answer, the Tennessee Titans. Kind of tells you all you need to know. The correct answer for the trivia of the day was the Tennessee Titans. So thank you all for playing along. If you guys want to play along, get a shout out on next episode, play along with this question of trivia of the day on today's episode. Wide receiver turned NFL commentator Chris Collinsworth led what NFL team in receptions and receiving yardage from 1982 to 1986? By the way, I do want to kind of emphasize here and just kind of say this. I don't know why I keep saying emphasize, but I want to say this. I like Chris Collinsworth. Stop hating on Chris Collinsworth. Stop hating on NFL commentators in general. It is a very hard job to do, to talk about football, to talk about anything. I'm even making videos for 10 to 15 minutes long, and it's difficult. It's hard to say what you mean at all times when you're sitting and talking in front of millions of people every single weekend for 5+ hours a day. So cut him some slack. I love Chris Collinsworth. I love all these NFL commentators. There's something nostalgic about listening to some of the commentators you grew up listening to as well, right? So shout out to Chris Collinsworth. But wide receiver turned NFL commentator Chris Collinsworth led what NFL team in receptions and receiving yardage from 1982 to 1986? As I dropped the trivia question, so I can't give you multiple choice options. Here we go. Was it A, Dolphins, B, Chiefs, C, Bengals, or D, the Chargers? What team did Chris Collinsworth lead in receptions and receiving yards in 82 to 86? That's going to do it for me on today's episode of the Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Giron, and I am out.